But we do want to welcome Joanne back from she's from Florida, and Taruskis are from San Diego. So thank you for bringing that nice weather with us today. We're celebrating today a baptism, and so we give thanks for that. For the rest of you, we do welcome you as well. We're a small but mighty crowd today after the big Thanksgiving hangover. We're all here, and so through our spirit, we can definitely rejoice and give thanks. We also, with the Oldenburgs, welcome Oldenburgs. They have their two new babies with them as well, and so we give thanks for that and celebrate with you. Welcome back into our midst, and good luck. So we do want to give thanks this day as we come together. If you've not done so, please pass the white booklets that are located here on the inside. Pass those around, and if you'd like more information about the church, please fill those out completely. If you have a prayer request, we invite you to please fill that out in the prayer request card. Put that in the offering plate, and we'll share that as part of our service. We celebrate today through our announcements, and Beth, take us away on this awesome new area over here.
Yes, that is already in use. So as you have already noticed by now, we're missing a few pews over here, and we did that to accommodate some space up here so that we can have our youngest members or those who just really need to get up and move during today's service. You are all invited to come over to our little pray and play space is what we're calling it. So we're actually going to be doing Children's Moment from
Tom.
there. Well, Tom is my usual attendee for Children's Moment, so I think that's a pretty appropriate space for him. You'll be joining Tom over there, kids, today as we celebrate this space and we talk about prayer in action today. So it's a really great use of our space, and we've already been watching it this morning, and we're glad for it. So thank you all.
Indeed. It's been kind of a dream for several years that we did that, and as I toured through churches over my sabbatical over the summer, about half of the congregations I visited had this play space here, and so we're so thankful that we were able to kind of push all that together, so we give thanks. We have also want you to know that our Journey Group continues to meet until December 10, so a couple more weeks. Come and join us for that to learn more about your faith and your engagement here at Peace Church, and so we give thanks for that ministry that continues to go on. Also, Poinsettias, wherever she went. Where'd you go? There you are.
Just wondering. Today is the last day to get in your order for poinsettias or setas. So please grab a form from the back, put it into the welcome desk or to one of us staff as today so that we can get those orders in, make sure that we can fill our space with that beautiful imagery. For Christmas, you'll get to take it home as well. All of the proceeds that we make from this goes to the youth fund, and so it's a great way, an easy way to support our mission with them. So make sure you get those today.
Good, thank you. We also wanted you to know we had our big Thanksgiving dinner last week. We fed over 300 people, and it was a record feed. It was a mass feed. We fed over 300 people in 31 minutes. It was amazing. So thank you all for preparation, getting it all together, getting everybody fed and out here. I think the last person leaves around 2:30 after all the cleanup. It was amazing. So thank you everybody who helped getting that all going. So we really appreciate that. Thank you. There's because we're all still full from Thanksgiving, right? We're not having any meal today, so this is our fast day. We decided to give our folks in the kitchen a little bit of a break and not to have any lunch after the service today. So we give thanks that for everybody who does that. But this week there's no lunch. We'll start that again next week, though. We also want to know about some performances. Kirby or Missy, who wants to talk about this?
Kirby can.
Kirby, talk about this show that's coming up.
Prequel to A Christmas Story. It's the story of what? Carol. Christmas.
Okay, Missy.
Prequel to how Charles Dickens visited Washington Irving at his estate in New York and got all his ideas. It's really going to be a cool play. You'll hear a lot of Christmas carols, really old Christmas carols. You'll get to hear me try to speak in a British accent, and Missy. She's Mary Shelley in the play, by the way, so she wrote Frankenstein, but it's going to be a really cool play. Have a lot of fun, and come see it. Tickets are at onceandfutureclassics.org, or you can get them here at the desk.
Yep, so either place, you can order them by calling the desk or going online to get those. We have several members involved with that, so we'd really like you to come and be part of that performance or watch that performance. Also, Christmas cantata is coming up on the 17th. As you know, it's always a joyful time. We come together and share the joy of music through the Christmas story through music, so come and join us for that as well. John gave away all of his books, which should be awesome, but he has ordered more in, so if you'd still like to sing, you can come this Wednesday and get everything in line by December 17th. So there's one service on that Sunday at 10 o'clock, so be mindful of that as well. But it'd be a great celebration as we move into Christmas. We also wanted you to know, if you go back one, just following the cantata on that Sunday, we're going to have a light lunch, and then we're going to go carol over at Samaritan Bethany. If you'd like to come and join us for that morning, we'd love to have you do that. It's just an exciting time to go and to share the joy of Christmas with our brothers and sisters at Samaritan Bethany. Other items?
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that the giving tree is up and running now. And so if you didn't come in this door over here, you may not have noticed it. But over by the brick part of the circular stairwell, the giving tree is out there. Please make sure and take a few tags on your way home today. They do need to be returned unwrapped and with the tag. So that little ornament that you're getting, bring them back with that attached to it. So it could be there's a lot of choices out there, from gift cards, which are super easy, to baby wipes or kids' socks. So there's a really big range of what we're being asked to give this year. Please make some choices today or next week so that we can get them back before Christmas and get them off to be dedicated. So please check that out on your way out today. If you have any questions, feel free and talk to me or anyone on Social Action as well. The cards are both for Project Legacy as well as for Family Promise this year. So grab a couple for both organizations, and they would be eternally grateful. So.
That's awesome. Thank you. We want to celebrate also Phyllis Holloway's life. Phyllis passed away this past week. For those of you who know Phyllis, her husband Butch passed away in September, and so she just passed away. So prayers and thoughts with the Holloway family. That service is held here tomorrow at 11 o'clock as we celebrate Phyllis's life. And then during the service I mentioned, we're going to have a baptism here. Now, Landon, your family's from Wisconsin. Is that right? How many of you are from Wisconsin? Packer fans? Ooh. Well, since you're from Wisconsin, I'll talk slowly for you anyhow. So, anyhow, you feel the love now? Is that the idea? So, we do want to come to you. Other announcements we need to share. Debbie, we good? I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, thank you. I do want to lift up Lori DeYoung, our staff person there. Lori, this past week, had a little accident. She spilled really steaming hot tea onto her leg. She developed severe blisters at Mayo Center up to Regions Burn Center. She's back home, but she was treated there, but then came home, and for whatever reason, she passed out and found a severe cut. She has over 40 stitches that got put in. So just prayers for Lori and recovery, and for the boys as well, but mainly for Lori. She should be back later this week, she said. So just kind of a tough week, I would say. So we do want to definitely keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Is that good? All right. We come together
by having our children's moment over on this side. So if you want to come join us, come on over. We're going to have a grand old time over here. We're going to do a little bit of an exploration of our space. So this space that we created, we built so that we don't have to just sit in church, which most of us don't just sit in church. We pretty much dance half of church, right? Especially Tom. Tom dances the whole time. And so this week we get to bring this space into focus, which means there's going to be places where you can sit and color. You can color about the story that we're going to tell. Today it's a picture of Jesus who's showing people how to be a blessing to people. Or you can sit on the pillows on the floor, read a book. You can dance a little bit bigger because there's more space now. You can play with some of the animals. So how do we think that we could use the blocks to tell the story of church? What do you think the blocks have to do with church? Can you pray while you're playing with blocks? Yeah? Can you pray while you're playing with stuffed animals? Yeah? I know one of our members, Tegan, at the first service, one time sat through the church service and she put all the stuffed animals and recreated what was happening up in front of her. And so in this space, we have that freedom to do that, to use our big arms and our big bodies and make all of that happen. So this week, instead of praying like we usually do, we're going to let you guys investigate the space a little. If you want to try and color, you can. If you want to play with a block, you can. If you want to sit on the couch, you can. And I'm going to make all of the adults pray over us as we dedicate this space. So will you guys be with me in a moment of prayer and follow along? Dear God, we give you thanks for all of us that can learn and grow to pray and play right here with you. Amen. Now, usually I say you can go back to your families, but today the deal is you can go back to your families or you may stay here and hang out. You can choose either one. Tom eventually has to go back to playing music, but until that happens, let us be at peace. Paul.
Thank you. So we're going to invite Jordan to come up and bring family and sponsors, and so we're going to come up here and celebrate this beautiful baptism. Once again, we give thanks for this opportunity. We celebrate with family.
You meet me here when I'm on my knees. You're my revival song. You start where I belong. On my knees. When I am weak, you're strong. You meet me here when I'm on my knees. Yeah, it starts with me.
Amen. Amen.
Will you join me in a moment of prayer to celebrate these gifts? God, we invite these gifts into your presence that we might learn to serve you with them. Help us to build with these gifts. Help us to give with thanksgiving for all that we have been given. Amen. Our scripture this morning comes from Matthew 25 from the Message version. When he finally arrives, blazing in beauty and all his angels with him, the Son of Man will take his place on his glorious throne. Then all the nations will be arranged before him, and he will sort the people out, much as a shepherd sorts out sheep and goats, putting sheep to his right and goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Enter, you who are blessed by my Father. Take what's coming to you in this kingdom. It's been ready for you since the world's foundation. And here's why. I was hungry, and you fed me. I was thirsty, and you gave me a drink. I was homeless, and you gave me a room. I was shivering, and you gave me clothes. I was sick, and you stopped to visit. I was in prison, and you came to me." Then those sheep are going to say, "Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry and feed you, thirsty and give you a drink? And when did we ever see you sick or in prison and come to you?" Then he will say, "I'm telling you the solemn truth. Whenever you did one of these things to someone overlooked or ignored, that was me. You did it to me." Then he will turn to the goats, the ones on his left, and say, "Get out, worthless goats. You're good for nothing but the fires of hell." And why? Because I was hungry and you gave me no meal. I was thirsty and you gave me no drink. I was homeless and you gave me no bed. I was shivering and you gave me no clothes, sick and in prison, and you never visited. Then those goats are going to say, "Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or homeless or shivering or sick or in prison and didn't help?" And he will answer them, "I'm telling the solemn truth. Whenever you failed to do one of these things to someone who was being overlooked or ignored, that was me. You failed to do it to me." So ends the reading. This morning we are gifted to share in Brendan's gift of music as he shares with us a moment this morning.
Well, you almost had me fooled. Told me that I was nothing without you. Oh, but after everything you've done,
I can thank you for how strong I have become. 'Cause you brought the flames and you put me through hell. But I had to learn how to fight for myself. And we both know all the truth I could tell. I'll just say this is, I wish you farewell. I hope you're somewhere praying, praying. I hope your soul is changing, changing. I hope you find your peace, falling on your knees, praying. I'm proud of who I am. No more monsters, I can breathe again. And you said that I was done. Well, you were wrong, and now the best is yet to come. 'Cause I can make it on my own. Oh, and I don't need you. Found a strength I've never known. I'll bring thunder, I'll bring rain. And when I'm finished, they won't even know your name. 'Cause you brought the flames and you put me through hell. But I had to learn how to fight for myself. And we both know all the truth I could tell. I'll just say this is, I wish you farewell. I hope you're somewhere praying, praying. I hope your soul is changing, changing. And I hope you find your peace, falling on your knees, praying. Oh, sometimes I pray for you at night. No, someday maybe you'll see the light. Oh, some say in life you're gonna get what you give, but some things only God can forgive. Yeah, I hope you're somewhere praying, praying. I hope your soul is changing, changing. And I hope you find your peace, falling on your knees, praying.
Thank you, Brandon. What a gift we have in the kids and youth in our congregation, I must say. So this morning, I have the wonderful challenge of telling you the point of the sheep and the goats. Once upon a time, there were 3 goats that lived on a hill. To get to the best grass, they had to go over a bridge operated by a troll. Instead of caring for others, they were fully self-interested, and they denied the troll was Christ, and that was the end of their story. No, wait. Mary had a little lamb who was a perfect little sheep and always knew to care for others and saw Christ in everyone around her. Okay, it's still not sounding right. I think I might be missing the point. And maybe we all are. On this Thanksgiving weekend, we celebrate the story of the sheep and the goats. We come together to give thanks for the celebrations of family, or to be together with our church family in the hardship brought on by holidays like this. And we're left with the question, are you a sheep or a goat? We're asked if we're followers or if we are self-directed. The scripture asks us to think about the values of our faith and where we put our effort. So what's the difference between a sheep and a goat? One definition of the difference that I came across this week that I really enjoyed was troublemaking. Because of a goat's natural curiosity and independence, they can tend to get into more trouble than sheep. While sheep are, yes, sheepish. They have very strong flocking instincts and become agitated when separated from their posse. So which would you want to be? Getting into trouble or a strong flocker? The answer is supposed to be simple. We're supposed to be more community-minded than self-interested, but it isn't always that simple. Being a goat is just easier and culturally accepted. Sure, we're supposed to care for others, and most of the time we do, but we also want to protect our own interests. This week I've spent a lot of time thinking about sheep and goats. In fact, several of our congregation own goats. Or that story of the 3 billy goats, Gruff, trip-trapping over the bridge, tricking the troll into waiting for the strong billy goat to come along and throw him over the bridge. Is this the goat that denies Christ? The one who protects his brothers? And then I think about the goat rentals that I used to see back in Oregon. For those who don't know, goat rentals are when you rent a herd of goats to clear the brush, the weeds, and the grass from your land. So are these the goats we're not supposed to be like? The ones who are doing a job? Are these the ones who are ignoring the needs of Christ? And what about those sheep? Are they really all good? There's the black sheep story of that person that doesn't fit. Or all the parables where the sheep get lost. If they really are followers, why do they keep getting lost? And then there's those children's books of sheep in a jeep and sheep on a ship, where the sheep are the mischief makers. And sheep in a jeep, they slam that borrowed jeep into a tree. Is that a good sheep? The story of the sheep and the goats is supposed to give us an assumption that we know which one we want to be, and we want to be the sheep. You are prepared to change your life to be the good sheep. And how do we do that? The entire story before us today is set in a time of judgment, when the good will be separated from the bad. But in the process of our daily lives, we can't tell who is the Christ, who we need, who we didn't care for, and who is just one of us. And certainly we should take that as part of the moral here, to treat everyone as if they were God come among us, to feed everyone, to care for everyone, to visit all prisoners. To do this would mean that certainly there is no way you missed out on caring for God. And yet, that isn't the whole point of the passage. For caring for others in this way is certainly legendary, but why are you doing it? Let's say you are the perfect sheep. You fed everyone just to be sure that God knows you did the right thing in that time of judgment. Did you do it for them, or did you do it for yourself? This Thanksgiving weekend, many of us prepared large meals of decadence or sometimes of simplicity. We invited friends or family from miles away. We visited with relatives we don't get to see but a few times a year. And we find ways to care for others in these celebrations, to care for Christ in our midst. We invite friends who have nowhere else to go into our homes to sit at the table with us. And when we sit at the table with our family, friends, and even strangers, this is where we really glimpse the Christ in action with us in that first statement. I was hungry and you fed me. That really is the heart of the passage for me. When we join in our meals, we do more than just feed our bodies. In eating at the table, we foster the conversation we so deeply need. There has been a huge push in the last 5 years to promote family dinners as an integral part of a parenting strategy, a return to the ideal image of families sitting at the table, made increasingly harder by longer hours, jobs with less pay, and a 24/7 culture of need. But the research has shown some interesting correlations. Researchers found that young children who have dinnertime conversation boost their vocabulary more than being read aloud to. The number of rare words for children who have dinner with their family and conversation, they learn 1,000 rare words, compared to 143 from parents reading storybooks aloud. Kids who have a large vocabulary read earlier and more easily. Older children also reap intellectual benefits from these family dinners. For school-age youngsters, regular mealtime is an even more powerful predictor of high achievement than time in school, doing homework, sports, or art. just a dinner. Children who eat regular family dinners consume more fruits, vegetables, vitamins, and nutrients. And that goes on into adulthood, where young adults who ate family meals are less likely to be obese and to eat healthy once they grow up. Research has even found that regular family dinners aid in the reduction of medical symptoms like asthma. They lower anxiety, certainly, but it also is a chance to check in. And in most of your lives, in most industrialized countries, that doesn't sound like an everyday activity. We fail at that more often than not. But families don't farm together, play musical instruments, or stitch quilts on the porch anymore. And for some of our ancestors' families, that never was the case. But in this time, dinner is the most reliable way for families to connect and find out what's going on with each other. American teens were asked in a survey when they were most likely to talk with their parents, and most said dinner. Of course, the real power of dinners lies in the interpersonal quality. If family members sit in silence, or if we sit in anger, family dinner doesn't confer a positive benefit. Just sharing a roast chicken won't magically transform your parent-child relationships. But dinner might be the one time of day when you can share a positive experience together. So if all of that happens when families eat together, what might be the advantage of community coming together around the table? We gain interpersonal skills through meals, the research says, and we certainly will continue to need those skills in our intellectually integrated world. This past week, we worshiped together for Transgender Day of Remembrance, an annual event to remember the lives lost this year to hatred to our trans and gender non-conforming community members. And this year we gathered in the dwelling to celebrate this day around tables filled with candlelight and with friends. This service was much more like a coffee hour than a worship service to some people, but for others, this service of light and life, food, shared conversation around the table was the memorial most needed. In the eating and the sharing, we do more than just feed. We listen. We accept another's story and invite their truth, their story, to join with yours. And this is when we are the most sheep-like in our lives. When we share a meal and conversation, when we sit as a flock of sheep engaged in the grazing the community needed can be found. And when we have fed our neighbors, when we celebrate Thanksgiving, we give gratitude for all things. We make a space for Christ to be present, to provide the opportunity to allow the next steps to be possible, to provide the clothes and homes and visits, and help out those imprisoned, but only when we have the interpersonal skills needed to show care, real care for others. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was homeless and you gave me a room. I was shivering and you gave me clothes. I was sick and you stopped to visit. I was in prison and you came to me. We hope that this is our regular life, that we would see Christ among us. We would do the right thing and care for those around us. So are you feeling like a sheep or are you feeling like a goat? How many of us fail daily at seeking the best interests in our neighbors? I know I feel like a goat most of the time, not always unwilling to care for others, but sometimes unable to care for them in the way that I wish. And many times just unwilling. I don't want to. I fail at making conversation and meals with all kinds of groups of people. I fail at providing for those in need, just as we all do. And that makes us all goats too. Our best aspiration may be to be a sheep, but our real lives are often more goaty. We get bogged down with that guilt too, and that impedes our future good sheep behaviors. How many of you have heard about the roadside beggar who goes home to a nicer house than those whose money he takes from compassion from the drivers? We hear this story that allows us to make excuses for not helping, and we let that change our responsibility to the problem. And then when we hear texts like today, we say it isn't really possible. I'll just do my bit. It's too hard to change the system. And maybe that's true. But in 1 Thessalonians, we hear, give thanks in all circumstances. for this is God's will for you in Jesus. In all things. So also in our inability to help, we must give thanks. In our hardest times, we must be thankful. In our loneliness, we must be thankful. When we typically think of gratitude, we think of the happinesses of our lives. That term, I am blessed. But to be clear, thankful in a situation is different than being thankful for one. We're never thankful for loneliness. We're never thankful that our lives are hard. But we can be thankful in that time. In the stress and the struggle and the fight for our communities, for our state, for our world. We have to remember to have a joyful and hopeful heart. Giving thanks for being a goat and knowing we're a goat, but still trying to do our best effort to be a sheep. And that might be all that we're capable of in our lives, and we must give thanks for that as well. Because we're right. We can't change the system alone, and yet we must change the system by not being alone. By fighting despair daily with thankfulness is a step we can take together. This is the part where we give thanks. Once upon a time, there were 3 goats who met a troll under a bridge and gave him a better meal than what he was asking for. Mary's lamb brought mischief, yes, but joy too. We are hybrids truly of sheep and goats, and every day we make choices that align us with both sides. We can find a way to make that choice. We can find a way to make a better foundation for ourselves of thankfulness in whole life. Not just happy moments and a happy meal that took 7 hours to get on the table, but thankfulness in all things. And maybe that will be enough. Maybe that will be enough for us as goats, as good goats, for us as people trying to be sheep. May we give thanks this day for all the ways that we are goats and we are sheep. Amen. Others will feel welcomed.
If I am welcoming.
It will do a great work.
If I work.
It will make generous gifts to many causes.
If I am a generous giver of my time, talents, and treasure.
It will be a sanctuary for social justice and peace.
If I advocate for marginalized communities and practice peace in every setting of my life.
It will be a church that embraces all, builds community, grows faith, and transforms lives.
If I practice these things.
Therefore, with the grace of God, we shall be a safe and inclusive church living God's radical message.
I shall dedicate myself to being all the things I want my church to be.
So everywhere we go with God.